it. Right? Okay, awesome. Yes, I should have told you that from before. The other one is ignoring customer needs. You might be in front of the right clients, but you're missing the needs. The other one is lacking focus. So you start to offer these services, but oh, something else looks better. So you move to here, or you move to there, you move to there. But the driving thing, the big thing is 42% of business owners fail because you're offering something that their product or service is not in demand. By the way, it doesn't necessarily mean that the product you have can't sell. It just means the way you're positioned in the market, people don't think that they want your product, right? The other one is growth. So, okay, you have some traction, things are going, but you're investing in your company, you got to pay yourself, you're running out of money. And what happened is now you're using personal funds to fund your business.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you get past that, but you don't have an assistant, you don't have a team. And so you can't grow. Or sometimes it's pricing issues. When we have pricing issues, a lot of times what we are is low margins. And again, that comes to a positioning thing because if you have low margins and you're not making enough money, how can you sustain? And you're just burning the candles on both ends. You got to play a volume game and do huge amounts of volumes in order to attain your goal, and it doesn't necessarily work, right? Where you are doing okay, your competition is doing better than you, or when things change, like COVID change, and you need to pivot, you're stuck in your ways. And so what happened is you fail to make the necessary changes from a growth standpoint. So first there's clarity, then your other challenge is growth. And then you have the people who really are growing. What's the other challenge they have? Poor work-life balance, right? 38% of 38% of people state that mental health is a huge challenge. 38%, by the way, is pretty significant, right? It shows you how stressful it is potentially to be a business owner. This was by Toronto Star, right? And the other thing is there's a noticeable gap between those who are having these challenges and not doing something about them, right? So that's a big thing, right? So what's the big thing we see is clarity, growth, freedom. With the 30 minutes I have left with you, we're going to tackle these big things as best as I can. And we're going to come up with some strategies. And hopefully, you guys have your pens and paper you write note. And by the way, um, Karen, I could email the presentation, I guess, to Charmaine. I could do it
Yes,
after. And
absolutely.
Charmaine can provide it to everyone else. So you will have the presentation. But if there are things that come to your mind, feel free to write things down. The benefit of writing things down is that it usually stays with you much more than anything else. And by the way, I might say something and it might trigger a thing, and you remember, trigger in a positive, not a negative way. Trigger in a positive way. Go, oh, this is something I could do, or oh yeah, that's a great idea. Don't have it be a great idea without writing it down. Make sure you could reference it and come back to it. All right. So this is what I call a CGF business master plan. Lack of clarity. Let's deal with the clarity. A lot of people get into business. The first thing they start to do is deal with their business goals. Should be the other way around. Your business will serve you as a personal goal, right? You start by your own personal goals. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to attain? What do you want? And the business becomes a conduit for that. And what we realize is our personal goals become the business goal. The personal challenges we have, by the way, become the business challenges, right? And so once we have a sense of what our goals are, we bring that and say, okay, what is it that I want? And by the way, especially if you're already in a business, from a personal level, what are my pain points and how am I going to attain these goals knowing I have these pain points? It could be the staff issues, it could be the cash flow stuff, it could be, okay, I'm going, but I'm having challenges getting customer review, or I want to launch in a different market, or I want distribution, I can't get distribution. Keep asking what are the pain points in your business, because for that personal level, remember, you're the CEO of the business. This is not like you're working for someone else. What do you want from your company? Start to take a look of that, right? And part of that is, and a part of gap that a lot of business owners miss is the personal financial plan. Can't stress this enough. Because if you don't do a financial plan, how do you really know what the business wants from you, right? So you're going to look at your personal business plan and you're going to look at your cash flow management, how much money you want from this business to retire. Just like if you'd work regularly, you need to know how much to retire. What can I do to protect my business and protect me? If something happens to me, how does my family continue to make a living, right? If this business no longer happens or if I'm sick. Tax planning, a huge portion of it, huge part of it, because from a tax planning perspective, it's not what you get, it's what you keep, right? So we start at these things at a personal level, as a foundational level. And when you do a financial plan, this is kind of what it looks like. You start off by your personal goals and you quantify those personal goals and you quantify them into a financial goal. So I want to, I don't know, retire in Jamaica in the grill, live half time in Jamaica when it's cold, and the other half I'm here over in Canada when it's the summer, right? Quantify that, and you probably come up with a certain name. Oh, hold on. Are we going? Okay, so good. I'll keep the note. I see the questions. I'll answer the questions when we get to it. You quantify how much that is, 2 million, 3 million, whatever that is. And then you look in your personal assets and see what you need. Suppose you need $1 million to achieve your goal, right? That is your financial goal, would be right here, $1 million. How much do I have in personal assets? Maybe you have $500,000 in personal assets. So what is my wealth gap? $500,000. Now that you know that, what you will start to consider is the $500,000 needs to come from the business. No, if you only have 200,000, then no, we need to know 800,000 from the business. So what we have essentially done by doing a financial plan and get grounded in what we need to achieve, we know what this business needs to do for us to be financially independent. So while we're on the path for that, one thing we want to watch is our cash flow. Want to watch our cash flow, because if we don't have the cash flow, then we start going our personal thing. And what we want to do is we want to have the business support us, not the other way around. The other thing we want to consider is simple things like life insurance. I just saw, I was brought in by a lawyer to deal with a case, and I had to assist this case. He had a business, so I came in to help with to structure the things and valuations. I came in as a consultant. This guy built up a business with $3 million, $3 million, $3 million. That was the worth of the business, 3 million. And this gentleman had no will, no life insurance, no nothing. When he's died, his business just essentially got taken over by the estate. And then somebody just went in and started, his brother filed to take over the business, but his brother never had control of the business before, and the business is starting to go down. His kids, who are the rightful owners of the business, are now trying to wrestle ownership of the business while the business is going down. No life insurance, no nothing. Mm-hmm. So this guy spent how many years building this business to 3 million? And how quickly, within like a year, it started to go down ridiculously with loans and everything else. So what he built, and he died at a young age, just like in his 40s, I think in 40s. So he did, I'm pretty sure when he was building it, he's probably thinking about building generational wealth, but not all of that's gone. Well, not gone, I shouldn't say it's all gone. A huge portion of it is gone. It is somewhat salvageable, but while we looked at it, the guy who took over had such a damage to the business that it just went down significantly. Probably would have to salvage by selling the property and things like that. Not one's things like critical illness. A lot of people don't know you could get critical illness coverage with a return of premium, where you pay everything and get all your money back at the end. Right? Disability. What happens if you have a disability and you can't work for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, right? You think you're gonna be able to, oh, I'm, man enough, woman enough to pull myself in, until you can't. And even if you're doing it, you're ineffective. These are some basic things you need to think about. So for tax planning, you have things like IPP. You may have a business. A lot of people don't even individual pension plan, where you could, just like how you have an RRSP, for business owners, there's IPP, where you could structure that if your business is doing well enough, where you could create a retirement plan with your business, and the business gets a tax deduction by doing this, right? We talked about life insurance, income splitting. You could start to hire family members. And instead of just taking money out and giving them, there's ways you could do that. And you could have a nice balance between salary and dividends. Salary is taxed at a higher amount, and you could make up the rest in dividends. That's some high-level tax stuff. I'm not going to get too deep into it. You guys will get the slide, so you will have this information. But I can't stress enough how important it is to be doing things at a personal level. A lot of times we have the business take our entire lives and we become a shell of the plan or a shell of what's going on in the business drives things. You make sure you have that stuff in place. We'll talk about that, right? Once we have the business goals, now we look to the business goals because once we do the personal plan, we know what we want from the business. And now we know what the value of the business, we know what the revenue needs to be. We know what the margins need to be in order to get the revenue. So we're able to go annually, salary I want, this is what a business needs to, what can I do to be able to pay myself this and also to sustain a business? It just gives you a lot more direction. You may have challenges meeting it, but at least you have a direction. It's one thing if you're just driving a car from here to Florida, it's still a far away, right? But if you have a GPS saying, okay, it's a far away, but this is the path you need to take to get there, it's so much more. So what you want to do is look at your revenue, margins, profit. Where do you want this business to go? You know, where do you need it to go? And by the way, this sheet, I have it filled out here. What you will do is you could have a blank sheet, so you could always put it in. So when I work with business owners and I work with clients, like this is a document, something like this is what I would use, right? So first you have the personal goal, then you have the business goal. And then once you have the business goal and you start to get to a granular level, you see where you are now and where you need to be, and you focus on these things that needs to get you to where you need to go. And again, these are all things you could use. But not just so we have the goals now, but the thing is, how are we going to get there? And that's where the strategy comes into place, right? Because if we know where we know where we are, we know where we want to go, we start to brainstorm on ways to get there. What are we going to do? Are we going to offer a special product? How are we going to position ourselves in the market? What am I missing that I'm not hitting that? Is it credibility? Is it customer testimonial? Is it that nobody knows who I am? You start to think about that. And you start to get more structure around this, because a lot of people, by the way, a goal is not a strategy. That's another thing. A lot of people mistake a goal for a strategy. Meaning you have a personal goal, you have a business goal. What's your goal? What's your strategy? Oh, I'm going to make 200,000 this year. What's your strategy? Oh, I'm just going to do everything I can to make 200. That's not a strategy. A strategy is more along the lines of what I'm going to do is I have this one product and I know this is the product because based on the research, I know that if I put this out to the market will really do well with this. And so what I need to do is position this market to this particular group of individuals. That's what you want. If you have a commodity-based product or cards or, you know, whatever you have, maybe distribution is your thing. I'm selling this thing, but not enough people are seeing it, so I need to get this in store, right? Maybe it's a service-based thing, right? It could be a price strategy. Man, I'm charging only $40 an hour and $30 an hour, and I look at people who are not as good as me, and they're charging $200 an hour. What am I doing wrong that I'm underpricing myself? Is it because I haven't the right brochures? Is it because nobody knows who I am? You know, so maybe I need to do a promotional strategy, an influencer strategy. Maybe I could work with someone to get in front of the right groups, right? So I could talk to the right individuals. Those are ways that's going to help you get to your goal. That's the strategy, right? So first we have, for clarity, personal goal. Then we have the business goal. After we have the business goal, then we have to come up with a strategy to achieve that, right? So once we have these together, now we have clarity. Now we need to this is where everything's aligned. We have the personal, we have the business, we have a strategic plan, and the plan is in place. You should have some momentum going if you're ticking things off. This is where growth comes in. This is where sales and marketing comes in. Make sure you are grounded on exactly who this product is for. Where do they eat, sleep? Where do they eat, sleep, drink, take vacation? Where do they buy their books? Where do they go with their kids? You want to know as much as possible about these individuals. That way you can reach them, right? Because it makes no sense that you're good at what you do and you're phenomenal, but nobody knows you. It doesn't work. So from a niche perspective, who exactly, and by the way, it could be one client. It could be, like, for example, I'll say construction because I know Karen mentioned construction. It could be the government. It could be bids. It could be a bid that you bid on. You go, how do you position yourself in front of the government? Maybe it's you need to get registered at certain places. Maybe you need to position yourself a particular way. Maybe you need to have a certain clientele, or maybe you need to have certain subcontractors who have certain experience. I don't know what it is, but just know that you have to position yourself to get in front of the right market. And there are different ways to do that, whether it be YouTube seminars, talks, whatever it is. But if you don't know exactly who your people are, even when you go in front of them, if your conversation does not align with them, it's going to be all for nothing. But if you know them really well, then you get in front of them and they talk, they go, oh, this guy's talking my language. This woman's talking my language. She knows us, right? So you want to lock in on that, on the marketing part of it. So that's the first part of growth. You should, once you have some traction now, I always strongly recommend delegating as much as possible. The first thing I always recommend to people are, at a minimum, get like a bookkeeper. I know some people try to do their own finances, and when it comes to filing taxes, it's an absolute mess. You want to probably get a bookkeeper at a minimum. Where you can, get an assistant, even if it's one a day, half a day. If getting that individual means you are more productive and you bring more revenue in, you want to look at that. Get a team of individuals. A lot of people, it doesn't have to be, by the way, when you start, it doesn't have to be full time. First, it could be once a day. I don't know, maybe even every other week. Even like a bookkeeper, you hate doing books. For me, I do not want to do books. Hey, you go once a month. You say, here's all my things. Could you just file this? Good. At least by the end of the year, things are together, right? Maybe you are in jewelry, or you're making jewelry, and you're doing everything by yourself. But you know a jeweler who's a new jeweler, and you have some administrative tasks that they could do really well. Twice a month, they come over and they help you. You pay them a certain amount, but an ROI makes sense. But the one thing you can't do is just give them the opportunity to do it without make sure you're monitoring that individual. So what you usually want to do is do it first, create a standards of procedures, and then give it to the individual. So if you're doing something, record yourself doing it. I don't know, like iPhone. iPhone collects, you can make a movie with an iPhone. Record yourself with an iPhone. Make a list of tasks. Do all of these things. And then when you hire that person, you go, this is how I do it, and I need you to do it this way. And now that person is able to do it, and you grade them on it, right? But you're going to be farther ahead when you give them some instructions of how to do it versus say, I know you're jewelry, so do this for me. You don't have any guidance, by the way, which is where a lot of people go wrong, because you hire people without the proper training, and then it messes up, and you go, this person was so great at an interview, but it just did not work out. Why? It didn't work out because you never created a context for them to work out. You never gave them the framework for them to do the thing to be as effective as you were in your business. But if you lay out the blueprint and you say, follow it this way, and give them some assistance, the likelihood is those individuals are going to do better, right? I always like to have people, even if you're just start and you're just a small company, talk about who you are, what you represent, where do you see yourself. Make sure people buy into that from a culture standpoint, because before you get big, you got to be small, right? Before you're small, you start off individual. So yeah, you bring that to your business. Talk to people about that. Have communications with them as they start to feel like they're part of something, even if it's 2 or 3 of you, but you're helping clients. That's where the conversation starts, and they will even bring ideas to you. So they'll bring innovations and things you could do to improve the process, right? Again, so now we have the sales and marketing in place. We have the people assisting us. We're growing, somewhat scaling, cash flow and budgeting. You gotta lock this in. I know we said bookkeeping, but you gotta lock it in. Think of cash flow like a rocket ship. Think of a rocket ship like this. If you have certain nuts and bolts that's missing in a rocket ship, you might launch, but you're not going into outer space. That thing's going to start rattling like crazy, and things are going to start shattering. And that's what happens if you don't get a hold of cash flow beforehand. The mistakes you make at 1,000, you make them 100,000, it could implode the business. You feel it. You're still losing, but you're not as much when you're younger. When you're a younger business, but as you get older, it's bigger impacts. You make one mistake, and it starts to significantly affect the business, right? Here again, I have just some examples. And again, you'll get this. So this is actually a workbook. When I work with clients,
Looks like the communication is frozen.
Is that what happened? Hello, are we still here? Can anybody?
Hello, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here.
Shirley,
I can
see
hear.
you can hear?
I can hear you, but
I think
for
we
Mr.
lost him. I think we're
Okay.
going to wait for him to come back
Perfect.
on. Sorry
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure. I think I'm
That's
still
fine.
here.
I think he got disconnected. I think the internet dropped. Let's give him
Oh,
some
there
time.
he
I
is.
just-
There he
He's
is.
back.
He's back.
I have
Okay.
no
Thank
idea what
you.
happened there. Oh, sorry, folks. Again, I just teach a financial planning class, so I just ran over. I'm hotspotted now, so I think it should be better. I thought the school thing would be better, but obviously not. Okay, so we're starting to grow. Once we're starting to grow, what a lot of people don't recognize is they don't think about one of my strength and what I do is called exit planning. And a lot of people think that exit planning means selling your business. No, it means you're exiting different stages of your business. First, you're the front line. You're doing everything yourself. Over time, what you should do is become a manager and you have staff delegating and doing stuff. What would be good is over time, if you could exit the org chart, meaning you're just the CEO and you have a manager and you have people doing the business. Over time, you could even hire a CEO. And I don't know, so it depends on your business. You may want to go to different levels of this. Some people want to stay as a manager, but if you're thinking about building a really good business, this is the option what you could do. And then you exit where you're the CEO and you have a manager, and all you do, you have a CEO and you have a manager and you have people doing your business. Over time, you could come. So this is where you're at a board. Over time, you're just an investor. So you have the board, you have a CEO, you have people working the business, and then you have individuals that are working the front line. By the way, this is all these big venture capital, private equity folks talk. Think. Remember when they buy businesses, they're not in a business. They're just coming and tell you what needs to be done in the business. They make money, increase the value of the business, and they're gone. This is the framework they use. Right? So think of where you are and what's your next exit. I do all my work now. By next year, this time, at least half of the stuff has to go to someone else. Or the marketing, I hate the marketing. I gotta hire somebody in marketing. Or the assist. Oh my, I hate doing the admin stuff. I gotta get exit parts of your business, right? And so this is how you want to think because then this gives you more free time. Here's another thing that a lot of people miss. And even if you start new, some people believe that this is not possible. I think you should always think with end in mind. Identify the value of your company. If you're just starting out, identify the value of what drives the value of your company. You could speak to a business broker, they'll share that information with you. Business evaluator share information. You can reach out to me. I'll I have access to some of this information. I'll tell it with you. And really, it's the EBITDA, which is your net, for short, net profit time a multiple in your business. And the multiple in your business is based on how well your business is doing. Now, I'm going to share you an example. And I know for some people that might look at big numbers, consider that wherever you are, whatever industry, whatever business you are, this is possible. It depends on how you structure this business to get there. For example, let me see if okay, let's use this one because in the interest of time, I gotta kind of jump through this. If you have a profit of $600,000 and your multiple decided by how good your business is in that industry, whatever your services are. Say you're a roofer, it may be the equipment you have, it may be how many customer complaints you have, it may be how many return clients you have, it may be how well you're known, how many Google reviews you have, whatever it is. I'll just use a roofer as an example. If your profit is 600 and your multiple is 2.5, your value of business is going to be 1.5 million. Remember we talked about the wealth gap and being able to pull money out of the business? That's kind of what that looks like. We know if we needed 1.5, then we know we need to get 600. But suppose you say, you know what, I need to get to 2 million. We could keep the multiple the same, but we get to 800,000. Now the value of the business becomes 2 million. Here's where the genius lies in this though. You could still make $800,000 a year. Same net profit here, but you improve the business and then increase the multiples. You went from 2 million to 3.2 million in valuation, but your net profit never changed. That's because you understand your business and how your business works, and you know what increases the value of your business, and you do things to improve your business. So, for example, I worked with a business owner recently. He had 65 independent contractors and about 4 employees, but he didn't have any contracts in place. He's looking to sell his business soon. Didn't have any contracts in place. Didn't have a standard of procedures in place. We got the contracts now. We're looking at standard procedures in place. We're working out and we're positioning the business in such a way that he's not as involved, because when he sells this business, he could go, here's the key, drive the car. But if you need to be the chauffeur in that car, the business isn't that valuable because you're part of it. And in fact, a lot of times you sell the business, then they go, listen, you're very much a part of this business. I want you to stay on for 3 years. You go, yeah, but no, I'm ready to leave. Like, no. We need you for 3 years because you're too involved in this business, and we'll slowly have you leave out. Well, how about you do them the favor? Structure the business in such a way you go, here's the key, it's ready to be driven. You don't need a chauffeur, the engine's good, everything's great. All right? But a lot of us are so involved in our business and we're such an integral part of our business, not realizing that even if we have the profit, the business is not saleable. In fact, 80% of businesses that go for sale never get sold. And by the way, when they go for sale, it's not because they go for sale, not because they didn't have money, because they're making money. Otherwise, they wouldn't put it up for sale. They got to show, hey, look, I'm making money. It's just that it's not positioned in such a way to sale, right? So you want to know your business net worth. At a minimum, understand what drives the net worth of your industry. When you go to sell, you have to structure it properly. You have a lifetime capital gains exemption. A lot of people don't know this. If you're positioned properly, up to $1.2 million, you will not be taxed when you sell your business. There's also a tax-free, there's a way that you could transfer your business to your kids and lock in your taxes that you don't pay taxes beyond a certain threshold. This is tax planning. So you don't wait till the end. So these are 2 effective things you could do. So you could sell your business and have a capital gains exemption of $1.25 million. I don't know, that sounds like an amazing offer to me, right? You start to look at that, but you got to think about these things beforehand. And then here's the thing, from freedom perspective, personal resilience, part of it is I work with clients. When I work with clients, I make sure that mentally everything's good. I have my type of coaching that I provide them, but if it's to the point where I see that it's really significant and serious, then what I'll tell them, I'll bring in a professional to work with them. These are some checklists that I work through. Just an example. And we talk about different things they could do within the business and outside of the business to create balance, because it makes no sense if you're just working without. By the way, all of these guys and gals who have done amazing and made gazillions of dollars, at the end of it, what they all say, man, if I could do it over, I probably would have did a little more work balance, because before I knew it, the kids grew up and I didn't even see them. There's a popular phrase that time is money. It's so wrong, because I'm pretty sure if you Warren Buffett is worth what, $112 billion or $120 billion, 96 years old. But most people wouldn't trade places with him, even if you get the 115 billion. Why? Because the guy's 96 years old. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. So I guess I get it from a business standpoint. We try to chase stuff, but from a work-life balance perspective, we have to balance it out and have a certain amount of freedom where that's concerned, right? So this is what it looks like from a framework, clarity, so a bit of revision. Start off with your personal goals. Then you lock in with your business goals. Your personal goals drive your business goals. Your personal vision drives your business vision. Create a strategic plan that makes this thing feasible, so you have a chance of attaining this. And part of attaining this will require, locking in on sales and marketing. Who is your client, and putting information before them. The people and systems that you require. Track the money while you grow. You gotta track the money while you grow, because you think you're making a huge amount of money. Sometimes you're overspending in different places. Make sure you have the right ROI. Stay being exit ready. When I say exit ready, I mean exit at different parts of your business, from the person who does the marketing or the implementation to the person who's the manager to the C, all the different parts of it. And we work on personal resilience because of the stress level that comes with this, and also creating balance in your work, right? No, I know I've said a lot, ton of stuff. Here's a framework. You could use this framework, and I'm pretty sure it could get you going really far. Part of it also is you could also work with an advisor like myself, if not me, someone else, because sometimes we have blind spots. So we think we know what we know, and we only know what we know. And so working with an individual can come in and help us, right? Sometimes it's just a book. Sometimes it's just, if you're a book, sometimes just hiring a bookkeeper, but whatever the case is, take this information, look at it, and either implement a lot of the stuff yourself or reach out to someone like myself or someone that you may already know as a coach that is good in all these things, and get yourself in a better way of doing that, right? So I know a few people emailed me for my information. It is right here. I don't know. Can I drop this in the chat? I think I could copy it. 1 second. Yeah. Good. I'll drop it in the chat. And my number is also there. So this is so I work with business owners. I provide them with obviously financial and consultative assistance and help based on everything I know. Now, what I will do, because I see the time at 6:45, let me go through, because I know there were a bunch of questions that came in here. Okay, so the first one is, how does a nonprofit fit into this model? Okay, that's interesting, because I'm working with someone right now who has a nonprofit, and I'm gonna be coaching her for the next, I think it's 3 months. I think it's 3 months, 3 months or 2 months, I forget. We're going through the agreement. She sent me her business plan, and we're going through the agreement. So I get it. So a not-for-profit has certain restrictions in terms of how money is allocated and things like that, right? Whereas a personal endeavor from a corporate standpoint, a lot of times we're pulling a lot more from the nonprofit, right? A personal than a nonprofit. It's still the same thing. If you're creating a nonprofit, and so your passion in the world is helping single mothers, providing them with financial literacy. Let's just throw that out, right? From a nonprofit standpoint, it's still a business. Like, you still got to identify the clients that you're helping. If you need to raise money, you still identify the grants. If you want people to donate, you still need those people become your niche. It's still a business. It might be a little different in that we're not just exclusively looking for customers. Your customers may look differently. They may be the government for grants. They may be different business owners who are contributing to you. They may be people you work with. And the bigger the nonprofit gets, potentially, is the more you could get paid, because the more responsibilities you have, right? As a CEO, it's quite different if you have a nonprofit that's bringing in 40,000, 50,000, than a nonprofit that brings in 250, a nonprofit that's now at $500,000, a nonprofit that's now $750,000. You have a lot more responsibility. You have a lot more things to take care of. And obviously the pay you can't, it's not like a personal business, you could just strip the whole thing on. Obviously not. But the bigger your corporate, your entity becomes, and the more responsibilities you are, and the more things you have to do, is the more you're able to charge that amount in terms of a salary. No, it has to be a salary that is obviously aligned with the market. You can't go too crazy, but aligned with the market. But one thing's for sure, if you have a nonprofit that's doing $30,000 and a nonprofit that's doing half $500,000, your pay is going to look different from the nonprofit with $30 versus a nonprofit with $500,000. Your work is going to look a lot different from $30,000 than $500,000. At a minimum, well, I used to say work because sometimes you work very hard for $30,000 and not see the return. But at a minimum, 500,000, 700, 600, whatever it is, as a bigger nonprofit, you're probably likely to have staff. You have more responsibilities in that respect. So from a nonprofit standpoint, I'd say treat it just like a business. There may be some limits, obviously, to how much money you could take out. But that being said, there still has opportunities there. Can you help with establishing a trust to be a beneficiary for life insurance in a business? Okay, so I'll speak about trust. And because a lot of the information that people have about trust are being driven by what they see in the States. Trust, the way trusts are taxed in the States is it's a better tax treatment than here in Canada. In Canada, if you have a trust, you're taxed at the highest marginal tax rate. That means for every dollar that comes into a trust, you're taxed at 53.53%. Right? So it may not be wise to use a trust. Can you help establishing a trust to be a beneficiary? So yes, you can have the trust be the beneficiary for life insurance, but just like the way I see it, I have both US and Canadian entities. Okay. Well, okay. So Eden, what you want to do is see if the trust makes sense from a US standpoint. You probably want somebody that does cross-border stuff. From a Canadian standpoint, you can have it be a beneficiary. I've seen it done for grandkids and kids and stuff. Usually that the lawyers that I work with and I kind of come to terms with, you want to at least have like $600,000, $700,000 in that thing for it to really kind of start making sense to leave it for a generational. There are more tax efficient ways to do it. From administration, from an executor standpoint, you got to pay the executor. All the income is get taxed at the highest marginal tax rate. Sure, you could have the distribution and the distribution tax in the beneficiary's hands, but then you also, if it goes for a long time, after 21 years, there's a 21-year disposition rule, meaning after 21 years, it's almost like you sell everything and it's taxed altogether. So I just see trust being a more appropriate thing in the States. It may be appropriate here in Canada as long as you have the funds to substantiate it, right? No, if you have $1 million, sure, you could, it's enough to keep it, but just know every dollar that thing earns, it's getting taxed at 53.53%. And if the kids are at a younger age, and I'm making up hypotheticals here. If the kids are at a younger age and you're keeping the money in the trust and it's being invested and the trust makes $100,000, then more than $53,000 is going to CRA off bat if it's staying there. You could try to distribute it, but anyway, I'm just saying it's not always good as it is. A lot of times, a lot of the US stuff blends into our Canadian world. And a lot of times when we hear about trust, a lot of times people think about that, Okay, so, and I'm conscious of the time. Is there anything I did so far? And by the way, if we run out of time, here's my information. I dropped it in the chat and it's also here. So feel free to reach out to me. And when I do like counseling or work with clients, I also have a business broker, which is why I'm able to help with evaluations because I have a business broker who I work with. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here. She's supposed to be here, but she had to travel. So I'm here doing this myself. Or if from a financial standpoint, if you have any questions about what you need to protect yourself, go ahead, Karen, you can ask a question.
You said there are 3 things regarding making sure your business was okay. And you said one of them was systems, the other one was contracts, and I didn't get what the third thing was.
Standard procedures.
Okay. And then when you have all these things, it doesn't matter whether you're there or not, the procedures are there, like your life cycle of your product. So it's there for you to be functioning without you actually having to be there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is what this looks like. And sometimes we overthink it. So perfect example, I have a business owner came to me. He does awnings. And so we're talking and he goes, yeah, Anthony, but insurance, yeah, we do. But I go, no, I do more, more than that. I know I'm a financial advisor also, but I'm a certified exit planning advisor. So I do consulting. And he goes, okay, so what does that look? I think I'm doing okay in my business. I was like, okay, for one, do you have a set of procedures? He goes, what's that? I was like, have you documented what you do day to day? And I go, no. And I go, do you train people? He goes, yeah, I train people all the time. I hire people all the time. I have subcontractors. Yeah, for sure. I go, just take out your video and record yourself, or pay a high schooler. They're good with phones. Pay them like minimum wage and have them videotape you installing something. And he goes, okay. So we start work together. He put that in place. When he hires people now, he goes, once he hires them, he goes, I hired him on a Friday. He goes, look at the stuff for the weekend. We'll talk on Monday. Now when he come on to talk on Monday and you start to have conversations, he goes, so this is how we do this. And the person he's talking to starts completing his sentences and go, yeah, you do this. And the guy goes, well, how did you work with someone? So he goes, no, the videos. I was looking at the videos. So it takes such a burden off. This makes hiring so much easier. It makes hiring so much easier because people know when you bring them into your organization, they have a blueprint to follow, as opposed to you hire them and they're lost, right? And trying to figure it out. And this is why we hire good people and it doesn't work out. Sometimes we haven't given them enough information. No, don't get me wrong. There's some people that's just not good, right? So, but the bottom line is you give this person a much higher likelihood of being successful when you create a framework and you lay it out and go, these are the things you could do. All right. Great information. Do you prepare wills? Selena, I am a lawyer and I used to prepare wills, but I don't prepare wills now. But if you reach out to me, you email me, I could introduce you to someone who could help you have a will done. By the way, super important. If you don't have a will, folks, everybody on this should have a will. You should also have a powers of attorney. What's a powers of attorney? Over property and over your health. Meaning, if God forbid you are meeting an accident or something critical happens to you, someone is making decision on your behalf. Super important. And if you have kids that are younger than you, you want to definitely have a will also, because the will state who should be the guardian. Heaven forbid something were to happen to you. Otherwise, a judge gets to decide what's in the best interest of the child, and that may or may not align with what you would want to have happen. Yeah. Any other questions? And I know I went through this pretty quickly. Any other questions? So I'm conscious of the time. Okay, so last call.
Yeah, Anthony, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, exit.
What's that?
Can someone decide that or think that this is the opportune time to exit when it's not, and change their mind? I mean, what guides that decision making to know that it's time to exit?
Okay, so two things. One is you want to be exit ready as much as you can. In terms of, so let's just start there. The most valuable business are the businesses that are exit ready. Meaning the most valuable business are typically the business that go, I could leave this business tomorrow and it could run itself. Right? Consider that. That's just, if you wrap your head around that and you build that business, even if you don't plan to sell it, but what if you get sick? What if your mom gets sick? What if your mother-in-law gets sick? Your kids have issues. What if any of that happens? What's the best way to determine value? I'll answer that shortly. So exiting is not only about money, it's about, are you prepared? What are you going to do after you sell a business? I had a business owner recently, and I spoke with this business owner, and he was there to talk to me about selling his business, and we were working out what it looks like. And he goes, you know what? Can we continue this the next time? Because I just got realized that this is really happening, and I don't even know what to do next from here. Like, what am I going to do with my life? So there is a financial component, preparation, personal finances. Make sure that the amount of money that you get from the business is done. The second is the business component. Make sure the business is prepared for the exit. And there is a family component, which means emotionally, what are you going to do after? Right? Are you going to retire and drive your husband crazy because you're just used to having a business? No. Like, maybe you need to go volunteer or something. So for those are the three, it's you want to have 10 on each of it. Well, not 10, as high as possible. Financial preparedness, financially you're okay, personally. Business preparedness, the business is ready to be exited. And the last one is emotional or slash family is prepared. What's the best way to determine the value of a business? It all depends on your business. We would have to look at your business and look at your sector and look at what drives the value of your business, which is why I often work with I work with a business broker, and we come up with soft valuations, especially if your business is on $1 million, the business broker could give you a valuation. That's no problem. Over $1 million, then we bring a certified business valuator there. So what's the best way to determine the value of the business is once we know who you are, what sector you're in, it's like a grid, and it tells you, it tells you what are the different things that drives the value of the business. Do you work on charity number applications? I don't, but I do know a really good lawyer also. By the way, I'm a lawyer, so I know a lot of lawyers. But I do know I'm not a really good lawyer that works in the charity space, and that's primarily what she does. She works with charities, and she helps them file their things, and there's a lot of paperwork. So if you're a nonprofit and you want to go to a charity, she is phenomenal. And for compliance reasons, by the way, compliance is really huge in charity. You got to keep things in place. She could tell you, she could assist you with all that. So I don't, but again, you can, I'll put my information back up. You can reach out to me and I could provide you with an introduction to a charity lawyer. Right. So I realize now it's 7 o'clock. I am, and I'll email this, Charmaine, I'll email the document over to you. And so you can email it to everyone who was on this call. And now I'll hand it back over either to Charmaine or Karen.
All right, Charmaine is there, but she's not there. We want to say thank you on behalf of everyone. Thank you so much tonight for the ACBN Wealth Building Workshop. It was informative. I know I'm going to be calling you to get information. And I think I really liked it because you are really affable. You're really approachable. And you're asking questions that some of us haven't got there yet. Like, I'm a startup. And there's a lot of things that I don't know, and so even making standard procedures, now I'm going to go, and that's something I have to work on, and having my plan ready that if I decide to sell, now you're the guy I'm coming to say, hey, but thank you so much. And we look forward to having you again, assuming your schedule's able. Are there any other questions, or are we done for the night?
And one thing I'll add to that, Karen, a simple way to do that also is, at a minimum, you could create an org chart too. You start off with the org chart as CEO. These are the 3 positions you want to have. The org chart, I'm in this room, it goes dead after I don't move after a while. Start with an org chart, and then what you do is 3 positions. Sales and marketing is 1. Operations is another. That's delivery. And then finance. Accounts receivable, accounts payable, money collected, money at a minimum. Before you do standard procedures, and you put your name in all those boxes, and then over time you go, which one of these responsibilities I don't like, which one I want to give up, and then you create a standard procedures for those. Then you hire somebody into that position.
Okay. I learned tonight.
That is so wonderful what you just said. My name is Ryan Singh. I'm on an independent business. I just came back from Europe after 2 weeks, so I came late into this.
Yeah.
But I'm also hiring a lot of interns, and I am struggling with the setup that you're saying. And I just had trying to help a friend who is trying to finish up her class, and the teacher sent for an org chart, and I'm like, okay, how do I structure this? So you just answered a big critical part of that question, because all of the things that you've said is also so important, because now that I've spent at least 2 weeks working on 2 years or 11 years working on my project, it has reached to the point where I am now able to find a valuation for my project, my
Awesome.
film project, and I'm also able to expand my relationships on a global level.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of what you've just said is so important, because from a minus $500,000 debt ratio, potentially,
Yeah.
if everything goes successfully, we could be at a $4 million valuation in the
Wow.
next two. So it's possible to be able to put all of these things in play, because just knowing what the next project and the next project, and
Yeah.
but also the partners, because you're creating debt when you are building something that doesn't have any kind of a baseline. So I'm developing partners that I can't pay right now, but waiting on tax credits and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
there is value of valuation within our
100%.
companies, even when we can't see it ourselves. And that's where, when a white person or someone from a different community sees our stuff and say, hey, I give you 10 cents on
Yeah, exactly. And you give it up, not realizing the value. By the way, when I sit with business owners, the first thing I ask them, what's the value of your business? It doesn't matter how small or I ask them that because I want to plant a seed. Because if you had a portfolio, even if it's $10,000, I go, how much is in that portfolio? You're gonna, oh, it's $10,000. Or you're gonna, oh, it's $5,000. Oh, it's $500. You know the value. Well, this company is an asset too. So what's the value of it? You should start to get a sense of it. But Ryan, that's yeah, it's a great point. I'm glad that you shared, because it's to show that how important it is.
Well, and that's the challenge that a lot of us have, is that we don't know our own assets in the first place, and so
Mhm.
we're not able to evaluate even in the access of capital base capital funding to sustain our companies, because we don't know that we actually have something that can turn over if we put all of the things that you've said in play.
100%. One last thing I'll add to that is a lot of people don't even realize that you could literally strip before you sell a business. You could strip out assets in a business and sell it somewhere else. So, for example, I know you talk about film. If there's a particular way you film or particular way you do things, you could create a course around that. That course could be an offshoot, an asset that you pull out of the business and create someone else. Maybe it's the way you write scripts or something. You have different methods. Maybe it could be a group of clients or people that have subscribed to you. That could be a list. That is an asset also you could strip out outside of the business and sell it differently or manage that stuff. You could take a business, and then what you could do is you could strip it out and have all these different assets and sell only one portion of it. A lot of these folks, when they build businesses, that's what they do. You sell it, you go, how do they sell the business, but they're still making money from these other things? Because they have the asset, but within the asset is the asset within an asset. And then you strip it out and you put it in different holding companies. These are things that you could do. So to your point, Ryan, it's true. A lot of times people don't realize that. I have a business owner. She went from zero to almost 400,000 doing e-commerce. And I said to her, in your down season, when you're down season, you should teach what you know. Take the information out of information, all your processes. That is an asset that separately you could teach. And you could even sell off the jewelry business and you could keep that part. Right? So yeah, you could have an asset, but you could have an asset within the asset and strip it out and putting it even in different companies. A lot of times, a lot of companies look at doing stuff like that.
Well, that's what we do, and for many of us, we certainly need to have that as what you call distribution channel for all of our businesses, because we have so much assets in the distribution, but we don't know that we have product to distribute.
100%.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
On that note, I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us. Our ACBN Wealth Building Workshop is the last Wednesday of every month. And we want to thank Dwayne Anthony Gordon for coming today and telling us how to exit. And he'll help you with your evaluations. And I suspect a whole bunch of other things. His number, if you need to reach him, at 647-567-4702, 647-567-4702. Don't forget, he's going to email Charmaine or myself the information. Other than that, thank you very much and have a great evening.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Tell Charmaine I'm
go
going to
ahead.
email it right now. I'm going to email it right now.
All right. She's still there somewhere. Thank
Yes,
you.
Okay.
Anthony,
All right,
please
take care,
copy
guys.
Karen. Please copy Karen as well.
Okay.
And we just want
don't-
to invite everyone that's here to
Yep.
our next series, which we have 3 more series the last Wednesday of each month. So look out for those invites. It was a great presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you all for attending. And we'll see you at our next workshop series.
Awesome. Karen, could you drop your email in the chat so I email you right now?
Okay. All right. All right.
Thank you,
Yes.
Tony.
You're welcome.
All right. There it is. Sorry, I should have done this at the beginning.
No worries. You sent it?
There it is.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let me grab it. Copy link. Okay, perfect. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Anthony, wait 1 minute, please. I'm sending you something.
Yeah.
Yes, copy both emails. She'll get it. Okay, thanks again.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thanks, Charmaine.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you,
copy
Anthony.
both. Oh, wait. Let me grab the other one.
Oh, the ACBN one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got to get into using that one. I got to get into using it.
Okay, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks, Charmaine.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thanks, Anthony.